Do you enjoy strange and unexplored areas in video games? Well, I do too. So today I thought I'd bring you all along with me to have a look at some of the loneliest corners that I've found in Halo 2. Okay, so here we are about halfway through Metropolis, I would say. Tell me, have you ever been in this nook before? Now this, unironically, might be one of my favorite kinds of areas in a video game. And the reason for that is because it essentially exists in its own world. Now with video games, unlike real life, everything in a video game has been placed by someone. This entire world didn't exist until developers started building it, and they placed set pieces and they placed enemies and they designed a building or they designed a road or whatever. However, this nook exists purely as a side effect to somebody creating this world. And what I mean by that is this ramp over here, whoever designed this ramp section here specifically chose to have it come around here and then end before it got to this wall. So instead of the ramp going all the way to the wall and then ramping down, it's curved around here and then it started ramping down before it's hit that wall. And because that decision was made, this area now exists. But it wasn't a direct action made by any developer. It purely exists because of a different decision that somebody made. This nook that I'm standing in exists purely on its own terms because a developer made a completely separate decision to create something else. And I think that is really cool. And I think what's even cooler is that we are now talking about this space. 25 years later, how long has it been? 21 years later, 22 years later. And we are now talking about this little nook in a level that only exists because of a different decision that was made by somebody. There is no reason why, when they were creating this area, they couldn't have just made this little thing come down here, hit this wall, and then ramp down. There is no real reason why they couldn't do that, but they chose not to for whatever reason, and because of that, this area now lives. So shout out to this nook. Best nook in Halo 2. Actually, fuck it. This might be my favorite nook ever. The fact that it has its own will, essentially, it exists on its own, makes it cooler than the nook in Halo 1. Also, can anybody tell me what this place is supposed to be? I thought it was like a park, like a public park. And also, why is there no railings on this like structure thing? A child could fall off and crack their head right here. Seriously, who the hell is the safety commissioner of this city? Okay, so here we are on Delta Halo? Yeah, Delta Halo. And I wanted to just show off this spot first because I found it recently and I thought it was kind of funny. How do I get there? I forgot how to get there. Oh, fuck. Okay. I think it's up here. Now let me know if you've ever seen this room before. Now, I wouldn't particularly consider this a lonely corner, even though that phrase is like the most arbitrary title I've ever come up with, and I truly don't even know what the exact definition of it is. But this feels like more of a kind of on-the-nose reference or little joke that Bungie made, placing these guys in here. So I wouldn't particularly call this a lonely corner, but I thought I'd just show it off because it was funny and I've never seen it before. Anyway, let's go to the real lonely corner. All right. So we're here in Sniper Valley, Sniper Canyon, I guess. Everyone's favorite part of this level, of this entire game. And I'm sort of towards the bottom. The lonely corner is in this tunnel here. So I have a few questions. But firstly, I wanted to throw a question out to you guys, the audience. And I wanted to ask, what do you think is the worst aftermath of a marine body we've ever seen in the Halo series? And I'm not including like when you see a marine die, like for example, and at the beginning of Floodgate when you see that marine turn into a flood. Obviously that's really horrific. I'm just talking about like what's the worst marine corpse or multiple marine corpses that we've seen that tell the worst tale. What do you guys think? I think for me it's probably that I always think of like at the bottom of Silent Cartographer, there's like two marines, and I always like theorized how they got there. For me, that's probably the worst one that I can think of, but let me know, what's the worst dead marine that we've seen in the Halo series? Anyway, my questions that I have here for this guy is, first of all, how did he get here? Considering we're the Master Chief, how the hell did this guy get all the way down here before us? It's easy to say, oh, there's a dead marine here, so you can have like an ammo drop as like a sort of generic video game answer. But I always think Bungie sort of put a bit more thought into stuff like that. So my theories are always like, oh, they got kidnapped or held hostage by the Covenant and were like dragged here and then eventually like executed or something. But I'm always curious, like, how do the Marines end up ahead in the mission ahead of the Master Chief? It's always like a funny thought that I have. The other question that I had is, why does this guy have two pistols? So I'm pretty sure he's an ODST going off of his helmet. Why does this guy have two pistols for? As far as I'm aware, like any of the squishy little humans can't dual wield. So what the hell is this guy doing with two pistols? Maybe this guy is like the single Marine who can dual wield. I don't know. But I don't think I've ever seen any other Marine corpse that has two of the same gun on it before. Also, there's another corpse just later in the level. Let me show you that. Okay, so this is right at the end of the level, and if you come up here and go up here, right in this bush is another dead ODST. And again, my question still stands. How the hell did this guy get here? It's interesting because there's a bunch of ammo drops here, right here. So to me, it says that Bungie didn't just put him here to provide the player with a sniper rifle or some ammo. Bungie have already provided a way to give the player ammo with these little supply drop things. So why the hell did they decide to put a Marine here? I don't know, maybe there's some story in the lore about this guy that I'm just not familiar with, and someone will correct me, but I just wonder how this guy got here. Oh, maybe he did like the out of bounds glitch on this map. Maybe that's what it was, yeah. And he got out of bounds and then came down here and fell and died dropping down here. This is always a thought that I have when I find Marines in Halo, because while I do think they're probably there to give the player ammo and sort of like, and keep it sort of game logical why there's ammo there, it still raises the question to me, how the hell did this guy get here? First of all, he got here before the Master Chief got here. Second of all, how did he get specifically to here? Who knows? It's a fun thought, I guess. Okay. So this is oh my god. Okay, as I was saying, here we are in, I think this is the Prophet's like private bedroom or something. And I just wanted to point out this one thing that has completely ruined this room for me, and I'm hoping I'm gonna spread that to everybody else, and every time you come in this room you will notice this. Have a listen to this. It's like the most infuriating noise I've ever heard in my entire life. And not only is it the most annoying sound ever, it has this really weird effect where you can only hear it when you cross a certain line in the room. Very strange. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show off here on this level. So let me go up the elevator and I'll show you what it is. Alright guys, so another did you know moment from me. Did you know that you can walk on this thing up here? You can fully just stand on it. I always assumed it was like some kind of light source. I guess it is like a light source, but it also has like a giant power cable going through it. That's how the Covenant get their power. And what you can do is you can actually walk all the way down here. One thing that's really cool for me is in certain flood levels in the Halo series, you can find areas where not only are there no flood, but you also can't hear the flood, and you can't hear any gunfire of what's going on. And you would think that having like some peace from the flood screams and gunfire and all that kind of stuff would be nice and peaceful. It's actually way more unsettling. You can't hear any of the gunfire right now, you can't hear any of the flood. All you're left with is just the ambient noises of this level, and they're really weird. I don't know what that sound is supposed to be, if that's like animals? Like, I don't know if the Covenant like hoarded like a animal species that they, from planets that they invaded. You've got like the classic whooshing sound, which probably makes sense. I guess like this electricity beam is whooshing, I don't know. But there are some really unsettling like animal screaming noises that goes on here. Aside from the creepy noises, it's a pretty weird sight. Like if I just showed you this picture, would you know what you're looking at? Or even like what level you're on right now? And I love stuff like that. You know, just like really obscure places where you can't tell where you are in a video game. Those are really cool. And you know what else is really cool is when you guys tell me about your personal favorite lonely corners. I really love hearing what you guys have to say, and maybe I'll make a part 2 in this game sometime. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you want to support me further, go check out another one of my videos. I'll leave a few on screen. And as always, thank you so much for watching.